The biggest battle we will ever have to face is the battle between you and you. It's the battle of taking your mind to that limit and then breaking through. On the Mindful Experiment podcast, we will share concepts, universal laws, and interviewing individuals who have done just that, who have gone through the dark times and through those moments allowed their light to shine bright. I'm your host, Dr. Vic Manzo, and I want to thank you for listening to the podcast and taking this journey with me as we discover different avenues to break through those limits, expand your reality, and evolve into the person you desire to be. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode here with Dr. Vic. And I hope y'all have an amazing spring season coming up here. This podcast episode, I really wanted to dive in about how complex we've made life. You know, this is something I've been reflecting on for a little bit. This is something that's been on my heart for some time, and I get to see this every single day. Being a chiropractor, brain, neuro, focus, centered, holistic. I could add every label to the book. But in other words, being a chiropractor, I notice how complex we've made life into specific aspects, especially when it comes to health. Because, you know, I used to say all the time that if you can't explain something in a simple way, that means you don't own it or you're trying to sell somebody something. And I've said that on and on again. And anytime I see someone can't explain something to me very straightforward, very simple, they don't own it, or they're trying to sell me something. They're trying to water down or not be truthful and use a lot of words to try to get into my logical mind. And I see this massively when it comes to healthcare. I've seen this massively when it comes to mindset and business. I've been a business owner for almost 10 years. And it's one of those things where I have seen in the arenas of how complex we make it. I've seen it through the chiropractic realm. Now that I do coaching and I do online classes and I've talked with hundreds of entrepreneurs and worked with, I've noticed how this pattern exists here too. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to do a podcast on this. I want to share this because even if you're not a business owner, even if you're not an entrepreneur, this is still going to pertain to you. This is still going to relate to your life. This is still going to play an emphasis on your role of finding fulfillment, to creating inspiration in your life, and to really, the purpose of everything I do is just to help individuals find the power of who they are and to find true fulfillment within. And so this episode is going to really hammer down on this. And, it's something that I've learned just through this past week. It's been, if you've not been seeing me posting on social media, if you have not been seeing me being as attentive on there and sharing stuff, it's because, last week, my wife and I decided to get chickens. It's something that, and it's more about being more self-sustainable. That's a vision I have with the next 5 years. I want to be 100% self-sustainable if I can. But it's one of those things where we were looking at like, okay, how can we help improve our health? And we're like, well, I love eating eggs. I eat eggs quite often. And so we're like, what if we get chickens where we know we're allowed to where we live? And so we did. We got 5 beautiful little chickens. They're about a year old. We were able to get them while they were a little older so they could start laying eggs for us. So it's nice. Every morning I get up, I let them out. I go into the coop and there's eggs waiting for me. 1, 2, maybe. And then throughout the day, they'll lay about anywhere from 3 to 5 on a daily average. And so it's great. We get fresh, healthy, vibrant eggs. And one of the things I learned was it's such a beautiful relationship. This is the simplicity of what I'm learning. And I've known about this, but again, knowing versus experience is 2 different worlds. And experience, this process has really taught me how simple things are. If we just take care of nature, nature takes care of you. We feed our chickens the best organic feed. My wife has researched endlessly what is all the things that they need to be the healthiest version. What are the things that they need to be happy chickens? What are the things that they need to be really fulfilled? What do we need to put in their water? How do we keep them healthy? And we spent a lot of time researching all this. And now we have a really good grasp of what we need to do. And what's beautiful about it, though, is the happier we make them, the healthier we make them, the healthier they make us. Simple, right? And so, not advocating to go get chickens and raise them on your own, but I do recommend it, though. But long story short, the purposes of this podcast episode is simplicity, right? Now, I mentioned healthcare first, and that's where I'm going to go there. I'm going to hit that arena. And the reason why we just made things so complex. Here's how far away we've gotten. And it's not, it's from the medical paradigm, and we need to change this. We need to shift our gears. We need to go to a different direction. We have to, because medical is sick care. It's not health care. And the reason why we keep letting medical systems lead the way, the more sickness we're going to experience like we have. It's not a bash to medical. This is just a fact. If you're in the industry, don't be upset. Look at your stats. Look at the research of how diseases are rising like crazy. Look how they continue to rise like crazy. And the more people are going to medical, the more interventions that are happening. This is on pregnancy. This is on everything you name: childbirth, infant mortality rates, overall health status, and so much more. Just look at the stats. Top 11 richest countries in the world: the United States, dead last. If we're looking best out of 42 industrialized nations, the United States ranked 37th. So the stats show already that we're not the healthiest country, and we spend more than anybody. But the purpose I want to bring to this is, if you had a plant and the plant was wilting, okay, what are the things you would do? How would you try to help it get back to life? You see, the beauty of it is most of you are probably saying water, sunlight, right? Maybe some nutrients into the soil, but that's it. That's all you need to do. And hopefully, if it's not too far gone, the plant will come back to life. Now, if you have a sick person, someone who has an illness, a disease, what do you have to do? You see, the conversation changes. You see, you're probably saying, well, it depends on the condition. What do they have going on? What do they need? What drug do they need? Right? Or what test do they have to get to determine this? What do we have to do here and this and this? And it just gets complicated. And I'm not going to go ranting on this all the time. But I'm just trying to use this as a perspective of how complex we've made the world. You see, because if someone has a condition or an illness, we think that it has to be some specific thing based upon that diet or that food, maybe, or what drug they need, what lifestyle they have to, what things they have to remove out of their life, what surgeries they may need, and X, Y, Z. It just gets over complicated. It's a battery of tests. It's a plethora of drugs. It's all these things, any illness, you name it. If someone has a thyroid condition, you need a thyroid medication, right? And then as you continue to stay on that thyroid medication, down the line, you're going to need other medications that are going to come from that because of the side effects of the thyroid medication. And it's going to continue going down this plethora without addressing the issue. When we look at someone who a child who may be sick, right? They may have this going on. We need to do X, Y, Z because of X, Y, all this stuff. But we lose out on the simplicity of what life is. When it comes to health, this is why I hear this so much, and this is why I wanted to bring it up on health first. Being a chiropractor, someone comes to my office, people come in because of symptoms. Then we educate from symptoms to function, and then from function to lifestyle. And what we do is we teach that if you have a problem and you're looking to get B to get to your results to C, that's medical. And I always tell people, you cannot take a medical approach to chiropractic. It does not work that way. It doesn't fit in the same boat. It's a different paradigm. And when I educate and share that, people grasp it for the most part. And they're like, wow, okay, I get that. I see how I was just focusing on getting rid of this, thinking I'm going to be good. But really, there's a whole plethora of stuff going on. But here's the simplicity. When I make an adjustment, I tell them, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're getting the body to communicate better. This is how we're going to help raise the function and awareness of the body with itself and its environment to allow you to thrive every single day, to be the best version of you. We're going to work towards that to train the brain. Then we're going to train the body. And then eventually we'll get to a point where you'll be there. Now, when I make the adjustment, though, they go, there's no way this is how that's it. That's all you're doing. And I say, because you think it needs to have a workload, right? You think you need all this stuff to be able to get there. But really simplistically, when you work at a simplistic level and you get right to the root, there's not much work that needs to be done. Just like the plant. You don't need to find out why the leaves or what protein is making the leaves weak so that you have to add a chemical into it to help overproduce proteins to try to force the body to counter that. You don't have to worry about forcing, you need to give it vitamin UV ray lights and XYZ because of all this stuff because it's wilting. Or you don't have to look at the soil and try to find what chemical you can do to help alter it in XYZ to try to get it to build back up. The thing is, it's simple. Water, sunlight, and some nutrients. That's it. Your health, same thing. There's 5 vitals to that. It's communication first, which is your nervous system, making sure everything is communicating properly. That's the premise and the foundation to anyone's health, wellness, or whatnot. Second's going to be mindset. The mindset. Where's your mindset at? How do you think? Because the mind dictates a lot. So where's that at? Nutrition, exercise, right? And we can get into sleep, but more importantly, too, I'm adding another to it, and it's your social network. How do you communicate with others? How much do you spend time with others? It's another vital part to look at. So that's the simplicity of it, right? 5, 6 things. That's it. Simple. Eat better, drink more water, move a little bit more, sleep well, start thinking more positive thoughts, or just think of, see things in a way that you desire, in a way that's going to empower you, and spend more time with family and loved ones, and make sure your communication nervous system's clear. I mean, it's real simple. It seems like a lot, but really when you get to it, you're already probably doing some of these. But let's take it to a different direction. How about business, right? How many times people tell you you have to grind out 18, 20, 24 hours a day. You got to work, not sleep. You got no eating. You just got to keep going and grinding and keep doing it. You got to outbeat your competition. You got to do this. You got to try this program. You got to do Facebook ads. You have to market here, do this. You have to go ahead and you got to do it this way. You got to do social media. You got to post 7 to 10 times a day. You have to go ahead and make sure you're posting and sharing stories and making it likable, and make sure you check your likes. You have to have a podcast. You have to have Facebook live videos. You got to have a YouTube channel. You got to be on LinkedIn. You got to be on Snapchat. You got to be on Instagram. You got to be on MeWe or WeMe, whatever it is. And you got to continue to do all this stuff to be successful. How stressful was that, me just going through all that? So you can do all that, and there's nothing wrong with it. And I'm not knocking any of that. I use some of these things. You're listening to my podcast right now. But the one thing I look at is, what about if there was something simpler? What if it was so simple, the process? Because I hear so many people telling you what to think. Tai Lopez tells you the biggest thing that's going to be the biggest way to grow is your network, your social network, who you network with. Am I saying networking is wrong? Heck no. I have a network of people I work with. When it comes to chiropractic, I have a network of people I work with when it comes to my business, online classes and my business coaching or personal coaching, one-on-one and group. I have networks to expand my reach. It's my distribution channels, and there's all that. But at the same token, though, I don't make that my priority. What I focus on is just my vision, right? You see, you can do all those things and focus on all that stuff and put a lot of energy out there, which is nothing wrong with it. It's going to help you grow and thrive, but you're going to be exhausted half the time, and you're never really going to be doing what matters for you. Because I always tell people there's no one way to success. There's no one way to love. There's no one way of expressing love. There's no one way of anything. There's a way. There's a version, right? Let's take it real simple. I like simplicity. Love is love, right? Love is love. Anger is anger. There's no such difference there's no other alter a feeling of love. There's no alter feeling of anger. Anger is anger and love is love. Now, here's where it gets complex. How many ways can you express love? How many ways can someone express anger, right? You see, the beautiful thing about being in the human experience is we all have the same emotions. We all go through the same shit. We all go through the same emotions. There's no difference. The only thing is we express it differently. We experience it differently, but it's the same thing. So you can go focus on the expression of everything, which is going to be very complex because it's going to be so much stuff. And that's what a lot of people do. Or you can just get back to what it is. Love, right? If hate exists, if there's violence in the world, that's a lack of love in the heart. Simple. Now, some may say, oh, he's making it way too simple. Can't do it. Well, because you live in a very complex world, you made it complex, so you can't see simple anymore. I see this so much on health, and I see this so much in personal development. There's people I coach, a couple one-on-ones and a couple in group. And what's so funny is how sometimes they'll get upset with me when I keep telling them to go back to the vision. When I keep telling them to go back what matters most to you. And then when you focus there and you really center in and really believe and trust the process, magic happens. I've seen this in my life so much. I used to control my world, trying to think I needed to do all the things that the gurus told me. And if you haven't read my book, Rediscover Your Greatness, get out there and read it, because I talk a lot about it in there. I talk about my different journeys in different ways of what I did and what I learned through those processes to really start to change and shift my life. And so I highly recommend you to check out the book, not because it's just mine, because also the feedback I got from people who've read my book. Now, with that being said, it's one of those things where, keeping things simple is what really matters in life. And I truly believe there's a movement happening where we are going back to simple. We're going back to knowing where our food comes from, or going back to the simplicity of life of just self-sustaining. There's a whole movement happening of this. Iceland is one of the first countries. They have an island that is 100% self-sustainable. We're trying to go that route with solar power and wind power. And I think there's a city in Pennsylvania, I can't remember if it's Philadelphia, or there was just a small town where they actually put turbines in their sewer system so that when water runs through, it turns on and actually creates electricity, which I think is one of the most genius systems to create. We're seeking self-sustainability. And so when it comes to your life, no matter where you are, no matter what stage of life you're at, no matter what you're doing, no matter if you're a business owner or not, if you're a stay-at-home mom, if you're a sanitation engineer, a CEO, whatever it is that you are, the point is keeping things simple is truly going to transform your life. So keep working on that. When it comes to you sharing your message, if you're in business, make your message simple. When you look at the news and learn from mainstream media, they do something really, really well. I think it's their language that they use is the level of a fifth grader. They keep it simple and they know how to strike emotion. Now, I'm not trying to say be manipulative like they are. But what I am saying, though, is learn how to be that simple with people. In my office, I don't use all the fancy medical terms. I choose not to, because I want people to grasp what I'm talking about. I want them to understand at whatever level I have to go to have them grasp the true essence, because it's a paradigm shift. Basically they're living on Earth and I'm trying to teach them what Mars is all about. It's two different worlds. But eventually when we make that connection, they start to understand how chiropractic is the vital force to their overall health. And that they understand that it's a lifestyle, not something that's a quick fix or an A to get to B to get the outcome of C. They understand it's a journey, not a destination. And that's the beauty of the work I do and teach. And it's the work that I teach and do on another level, which is in the business side. So that's what I got for you guys this week. I hope, please share. Let me know what you guys think of this. Shoot me a message on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Snapchat. I don't know what else I'm on, but go ahead and connect with me, or shoot me an email, drvic@empoweryourreality.com. Let me know what you think about this podcast, any questions you may have, any questions on our classes, coaching, or anything like that. Let me know. We are expanding and growing, and we have some awesome stuff coming up in the next couple months. We'll be launching a few things that's really going to transform and empower people and really create some radical change that I'm really getting excited about. And I cannot wait to share once we get the details finalized and so forth. So that being said, I hope you have an amazing week and keep rocking and rolling. I'll see y'all next time.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. For past shows, please visit www.empoweryourreality.com. I hope this show inspired you and added to your life to help you on the journey to rediscover who you really are. To connect with us on Facebook, please visit www.facebook.com/Dr. Vic Manzo. Check us out on Twitter. The handle is Dr. Vic21. Follow us on Instagram, www.instagram.com/Dr. Vic Manzo. If you were inspired by the podcast, pay it forward by sharing it with someone who you know can benefit from it. Thank you again for listening to the Mindful Experiment podcast, sharing paths to help you rediscover your infinite potential.